As we delve back into Unity, I want to review that we're looking at two different questions here. We're looking at all of our sources through the prism of two questions. The first question is there a mitzvah to eat the perot shvi'it? And the second question is, what is the, when I say lachem lo ochlan with their isur hefsed, isur schora, all these things, what is the underlying thinking of that? And as I said, there are three ways of looking at it. One is, it's a lav haba mikalaseh. As it says lo ochla, but it means don't misuse, right? Another option to say, no, this is defining, I skipped to what I called the third one before. The other option is to say that you're not allowed to pick unless it's for the correct use, right? And that's and the isur of misusing is not an isur of leochla. The isur of misusing is lo tiktzor, right? Third way of reading it is lachem leochla. This defines your ownership. Mele, what are you allowed to steal? What are you not allowed to steal? You're not allowed to steal other people's. You're not allowed to to overuse to go beyond the boundary of what your part, right? I have a certain part in this fruit. We're all sharing them. I'm not to take beyond what is within my bounds. That would be the Razan Nechemia way, the Razan Nechemia Goldberg way of reading it. He's very, as we said before, he's very Dechosh Mishpat. So that was his thing. It's easy to remember for me at least. Razan Nechemia Goldberg is very Dechosh Mishpat, so it's easy to remember that even Shmita, that sounds like a Kedusha thing, he defines in Dechosh Mishpat terms. So we are continuing Unit 8 for the Menucha of Surname Dagner and Sur Moshe Montefiore. As we said, we're back to Zoom, unfortunately, as the Omicron gets us all. Definitely the way it looks at this point. So let's go into this, right into this Mishnah on page 5. Very interesting question. For what point are you allowed to eat? Are you allowed to eat perot ilan? Why would you not be allowed to eat perot ilan? So we have a pagim mishiyazrichu ochel ben pito basadeh bichalu koneset doch beito. So mishiyazrichu, the initial part, as Rashi writes, when you can start seeing the fruit, it opens up, so it's edible, but you can't really take it home. You're allowed lechol pito basadeh. Okay, so you can't take it home, but you can eat it as a side, on the side. You can pick a couple and eat them. It's interesting, right? If we're talking about the question, what are we talking about? Are we talking about hefsed? If so, why is there a difference between eating a small amount or a large amount? And then bichalu, it reaches the next step, right? Mishiel bin rasheihen. So there's a mistake here. That's funny because that's the medua here. Medua yeshna gbala is my question, not the rush. Interesting. Okay, just caught that. When it gets white, whatever. But the point is, there is a point. What's important to us is there's a point where the fruit is proper fruit, and then you're allowed to eat it. Before that, you're not supposed to eat it. But there's an earlier point at which you're allowed to eat it. There's an earlier point at which you're allowed to eat it basadeh, on the side. Right? Interesting. All right. So what's going on here at all? Why should there be any restriction on eating fruit before the fruit is properly what do you call it? Fruit. New. Anyway.
Ripe.
Right, thank you. Yes, it's right. That's right. That's the Rambam. So he learns Xeris HaKativ from the word Chlut Tevuata. You're not allowed to eat it until it becomes Vu'ah. So this is a very interesting thing. The Rambam in another place writes that really it says Tevuata twice. Once to matir eating in the field, and the other to matir eating at home. So there's a very interesting thing. The Rambam has a separate Xeris HaKativ to tell me I'm not allowed to eat the fruit until it's ripe, right? And apart from that, he tells me also you are allowed to eat the fruit when it's kind of ripe, right? You're also allowed to eat it a bit before proper ripeness, if it's just a small amount in the field. Why? Derech bnei adam. So I suspect, first let's see the rationale and say what I suspect. Says the Rashmi, "Matai ochlim shem dalshin ochla v'lo le'efsed." Meaning, when I eat the fruit before it's ripe, you can look at it in two ways. What's the problem with eating fruit before ripe? You can say, before the fruit is properly ripe, the fruit is, if eating the fruit before it's properly ripe is wasting the potential, right? If I have fruit and it's not yet ready, so I wasted the potential that's in that fruit. We can all enjoy the fruit. Instead, I take it early, and I ruined. You could have had a good apple. Instead, you're having a sour apple. Why are you having a sour apple? Now you can say, well, why is that your business? Why is it your business if I'm choosing to have a sour apple and not a good apple? Well, one option says it's all kedusha. You're supposed to be eating from Kadosh Baruch Hu's table, so it's wrong for you it's wrong for you to be eating what isn't ripe yet, right? Because you're supposed to enjoy it properly. And when you eat from my table, I want you to eat the proper fruit and let it grow to its full potential. That would not be said, right? That would have more to do with eating from Hashem's field. Maybe that's what the Rambam means. Come eat from my sadeh. Come eat from my field, from the Kadosh Baruch Hu's field, right? If you want to eat from my field, you have to eat it properly. You have to eat it when it's really tvuah. Now it says tvuah again to say, all right, I understand that it doesn't need to be it's best perfection. It's enough that it's derech bnei adam. If people will on occasion take something that's not fully ripe and just eat it while they're working in the field, while they're out there, the shetach, right, fine, as long as it's normal enough. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is you're stealing my potential, meaning since we're all co-owners, you need to respect my ownership. Now, you say, look, if I'm going to eat I have my passion fruit. I can eat my passion fruit when I want. If it's not fully ripe, it won't be as good. It's my problem. So, yeah, but it's not only your passion fruit. So, as we said, like the Kiddush, right? The Kiddush frame, right? That we're all eating from the same big Kiddush, from this big Kiddush table. So, if you're going to, if I bring Coke to the Kiddush, so you better drink that Coke cold, because otherwise it's Bal Tashchit, right? You drink Coke and it's not cold, I mean, that's Bal Tashchit both of your body and of the Coke, right? If you're going to have Coke, you should enjoy it, right? If you're going to take whiskey and mix it with a sweet drink, right? So you're wasting good whiskey. Like, we're all sharing and all eating off the Kiddush together, right? But it's still wasting our whiskey that's all ours, right? Same idea here. If we're all co-owners, I think that's the idea of hefsed here. Hefsed meaning who's mafsid. So you can say the perot are mufsad, but I think it has more to do with everyone's potential. Mari Kurkos is very confused by this concept. Not confused. He disagrees. He explains why the Rambam doesn't say that confused. He explains why does the Rambam not say this hefsed? Because I'm eating the entire fruit. Hefsed means I'm not eating it. The Rambam doesn't connect this directly to hefsed. Now, it could be that the Rambam is learning Tochlot Tevuata really does allude back to hefsed, but Yecholiyot that has more to do, the idea of Tochlot Tevuata has more to do with eating off the royal table. Now, so let's see now. There are two ways of reading the Rambam. Sorry, like this. On the one hand, the Mari Kurkus is saying, if you're not wasting, I take the entire fruit, I eat the entire fruit. Can you say it was mafsid? Says the Rash, yes. Why? You ruined potential. Says Mari Kurkus, no, you're eating the entire thing, so it's not hefsed. Right? So the Rambam does not think there's hefsed in ruining potential. But the thing is, it doesn't really fit the Rambam's frame, because the Rambam was the one who wrote, where is it? Over here. Rambam wrote over here. The Rambam is the one who used the gezel frame. You're not to cut branches if it ruins the fruit. Why? Because there's potential in that fruit. So the Rambam should be the one who should say why you're not allowed to eat fruit before it ripens properly. Because you're not eating the fruit well in a way that effectively utilizes the fruit that we're all joining in, we all own together. So says the Maharit, no, the Rambam is a different problem. כל שאינו עכשיו ראוי לאכילה לא קרינן בין לאוכלה ולא להפסד. נקרא לו מה אלה כשראוי לאכילה. The Rambam's issue is something else. Alright, you say we have to share it together, right? We have to own it together. Right? We don't have to. We own it together, and you have to respect everyone else's ownership. At what point do we all own it together? Says the Maharit, only when it becomes kadosh, or only when it becomes a fruit. We're only co-owners when it becomes a fruit. Before it becomes a fruit, we don't co-own it yet. So the Rambam generally would agree with this idea that Hifsed would be the Hifsed of the collective fruit. Just, this isn't fruit. It's only budding. It's not yet a fruit. That's the problem. And that's why Techlot Tevota is necessary. As I said, there are two ways of disagreeing with the Rash, right? The Rash said, which connected, if you want to take it into this context, the Hifsed is the Hifsed of the potential of the collective of enjoying the fruit properly. That's what the Rash says. Why does the Rambam disagree? So two ways of looking at it. The Bari Kurkus says, I didn't waste anything, I ate the entire fruit. Maharit says, yeah, but it doesn't fit the Rambam's frame, because the Rambam does hold that we're all co-owners, and that's the Hefsed issue. Mimela, says the Maharit, the issue is that it's just not yet in the realm of Leochla. The Chazon Ish takes an afkamina from these things. He says, if the issue is, according to the Rambam, so let's ask a question. Let's say I have an unripe apple fall off a tree. Am I allowed to eat it? What do you guys think? So let's work this out, right? We had two frames. One is the frame of eating off the royal table. Is there a problem with eating unripe fruit if you're eating off the royal table?
I don't think so.
Or not, right? Another, yes or no? Sorry.
I don't think so, no.
So I was going to say that I think there is a problem. I'll tell you why. Because if the issue is I'm eating off the royal table, you have to enjoy your fruit properly.
Correct, but that's lachatchila. That over here, otherwise it's going to go to waste anyway.
But the thing is this: if you understand the Rambam here, the Rambam says it sounds like you're not supposed to eat it if it's not properly edible. Why not? It sounds like a Gzerat HaKatuv. I'll tell you why. Because if you're eating at the royal table and the fruit and something falls on the floor, you're not going to bend down and eat it. No, passt nicht. Right? I think the same. I think when the Rambam said
there's a difference between pasnish and isur.
No, I'm saying since
you're
eating off the royal table,
to eat.
Since you're eating off the royal table, pasnish isn't isur. I'll give you an example. This last week's parsha. I'll give everyone 10 seconds to think about what isur in this last week's parsha is parallel to what I said just now. It's not an easy question.
Which parsha we're talking about?
Korban Pesach, I'll tell you that. Very good, exactly. You got it. Says the Rambam. Why Etzemotish Berubo? Keder Chanim, says the Rambam. Meaning, you're eating Pesach, you have to eat Kibnei Chorin, not like you have to, right, and catch every bit of meat you have under the bones. So don't start breaking the bones and finding a bit more this and that. Just eat like you're rich. Eat every bit, but eat like you're rich. Eat not like you're trying to, So my point is, it very well may be that according to the Rambam, you need to eat begadlus. If you're eating Shmita fruit, you're eating begadlus. So eat it well. If you're eating it well, right? Eating it well means if it's not ripe, just don't eat it. It fell on the floor, it's not ripe, don't eat it. If it's ripe, it's better. But if it's fruit falls on the floor. But if it's not ripe, don't eat it. That's not the fruit Hashem wanted to give you. That's not what the host is serving. According to the Rash, there's the best you can do. What's better, to make it wasted legamre? Right? That's what the Chazon Ish says. Chazon Ish says, עדיין אסור לקטום מן האילן, אבל אם נשר או שכבר תלשו מותר לאוכלו, אף שאין דרכו בכך, מכל מקום אין זה הפסד, וכי אסרת לי, כל שכן דאזי להפסד. What's your better option? If the issue is you're not allowed to eat because you have to eat like royalty, So etzem lotish berubo. Be'etzem lotish berubo, I end up burning some meat, right? I'm going back to Rabban Pesach for a moment. I'm not supposed to leave anything over. On the other hand, etzem lotish berubo. So there will be some meat that I'm not going to get to because between the ribs and I won't be able to get it. So what do? I don't. Malasot. I'm eating like royalty, so I don't break the bones, and it means I do end up having to burn some of the meat. And I think that's what the Rambam learns from Techlut Tevota, Yaftit Begadlus. If I'm learning it that a whole issue is only Hefsed, I think the Rambam agrees it is an issue of Hefsed. But if it's only Hefsed, then I say, what's the better option? To Mafsid Ligamre. That's just a waste. So that's why I think there's enough community in the Rambam and the Rash. The Rambam, they both agree it's an issue of waste. Why did the Rambam need another issue here? Either because I am utilizing as best I can what I have in front of me, maybe not the potential, or because it's just not called fruit yet. Just technically, it's not called fruit, right? The Shemenyan, am I allowed to chop wood on Shmita? The answer is I am allowed to chop wood for my lumber, right? I am allowed. We learn in Unit 6 how I'm allowed. In what ways am I allowed? Later on in the year this tree can bear fruit. Beseder, but I need the lumber now. I don't need to wait for it. It's the same idea here. I don't need to wait for this flowering, budding fruit that's not yet fruit. That's the way the Maharit learns it. I think there would be enough coming, and that's why the Rambam added another component of eating from the royal table. Mimele, you shouldn't be allowed to eat from not begadlus ever, as opposed to the Rashi who says it's all an issue of Hefsed. It's all an issue of Hefsed. Mimele, if you're eating, if the other option is Hefsed, nafkamina, I think, if it falls off the tree, if it's only a matter of Hefsed, so do your best to utilize what you have.